It's important for a new account to go into your doctor setup and ensure that your doctor's credentials are imported correctly. You can locate your doctors under Administration, Application Lists, and select Doctors on the left-hand side. Understand too, this section is called Doctors, but it really applies to any provider within your system. So for example, if you have a massage therapist that you bill out for, you would still input them under this Doctors section. So you can think of it more as a quote-unquote providers section. The reason this section is very important is if you are going to be printing out any statements, submitting any claims, or providing any of the other documentation within Turncloud that may reference a doctor, it's pulling that information from this section. So you want to ensure that the NPI, the tax ID, etc. are all correct within here, because that is going to apply to everything you send out. So this is one of the most imperative, most important things to set up correctly from the outset to ensure that your claims process, your statements, your documentation all go smoothly moving forward. To configure a new doctor, much like the other sections in the system, you're going to click Add New Record. From here, you're going to choose the username that applies to this doctor. So if you've set up a username for the doctor, you're going to see a list of emails. We're going to choose that doctor's user. It should input the first and last name based on the doctor's username. And then from here, you're going to go ahead and input the information relative to claims and statements. The first NPI field is your individual NPI. The next one that says group NPI is where you input your group NPI. However, this really is representing just the default NPI for this doctor that goes in box 33A of the claim. So think of the first NPI as 24J. And think of this one as NPI 33A. So if you don't have a group NPI, you're just billing out under an individual NPI, put the same individual NPI under this group field so that way you have the correct NPI still showing up on box 33A. Obviously, if you do bill out under a group NPI, straightforward enough, just put that group NPI there. This is going to be your tax ID, license number, and any additional, secondary ID code, your taxonomy code for electronic claims. And you're done. Now at this point, we have some additional options for this doctor. If we look on the bottom, we have a section that says case type and has some options for, box 31A, 33A PIN, 33A group. What is this for? Well, we've just configured the default claim settings for this doctor at the top. So understand that anything we bill out with this doctor, for instance, is going to come with this information on the claim in the relative sections it should go. You may, however, have a need to create an exception to that rule. Maybe a certain insurance company needs a specific number in box 31A, for instance, but it doesn't necessarily need to apply to all of your claims within the system. That is what this section on the bottom is for. It allows you to make a case type specific exception to the rule. And to do so, you just click Add New Record. You're going to choose the patient case type that this would apply to. So for example, if Medicare requires, say, a UPIN in box 33B, I can select my Medicare case type. I can now go into here, input, first off, I want to make sure that the NPI that's going to go in 33A is correct. And then for 33B, I can put in my UPIN or whatever it would be. So essentially, this is an area where you can make a case type specific exception to your default settings, which are above. So if I generate a claim for a patient for this doctor under the Medicare case type, Turncloud will take into account that I've created this rule and input this information on the claim instead of what I have as a default on the top. And you can configure that for as many case types as needed. Before saving this doctor file, I also want to point out a section on the top right for the doctor's signature. This primarily applies to SOAP notes that you might print out from Turncloud. So it's important too, just for your convenience, that you include a copy of the doctor's signature. How that works is you'll want to have an image of the doctor's signature prepared already on your computer. So that can be scanning a picture of that signature and then cropping that image to just be the signature, or you may already have a copy of the doctor's signature somewhere. What you're going to do is choose Select Files, navigate to that image on your computer's file system, select it, and upload it. So for example, this doctor file shows a provider that has all of my correct billing information present, the signature uploaded, and in this case I don't have any case type exceptions, but had I set them up, I would see them listed down below. So make sure that any and all providers you could potentially bill out for, send out a statement for, or what have you, are configured within this specific section with their specific credentials inputted as needed. Once you're done, you'll see something like this with your different providers set up in the system.